Tobacco consumption, usually by smoking, has been practiced in the United States ever since its establishment. It was part of almost every movie, every TV show, and for a long period of time, cigarettes had and have had a part in the life of countless adult citizens of the United States. Tobacco consumption in the U.S. saw a massive rise in the first half of the 20th century. In 1905, 2.5 billion cigarettes were consumed annually, or 54 per person. By 1965, 52.8 billion had been consumed, which is equivalent to 4,259 cigarettes per person. The large presence of cigarettes in the media and television, plus various forms of advertisement, with things like the Marlboro Man, help cause a large portion of our population to get addicted to the poisonous concoction of chemicals that is a cigarette. In 1964, Surgeon General Leroy Burney released Of Smoking and Health, the first federally backed medical evidence stating that cigarette consumption is a direct cause of cancer. Although this was not the first warning sign in the United States released to the general public. In 1957, a Senate bill was introduced to require all cigarette packages to be labeled including a warning label that stated a prolonged use of this product may result in cancer, lung, heart, and circulatory ailments and other diseases. Although this seems to make sense to most people, the bill was blocked by the tobacco industry on the ground of aesthetics, that a cigarette pack should not be defaced to describe facts. That was an important part in our nation's tobacco history, as it shows how big of a role big tobacco companies were able to play within our government. In the early 1960s, medical groups pressured John F. Kennedy to establish the Surgeon General's Advisory Committee on Smoking and Health. This committee researched 7,000 scientific articles each year, created a 387-page report called Smoking and Health, and in 1967 concluded that smoking is a cause of cancer in men and women. In 1966, the Cigarette Labeling and Advertising Act from Congress forced cigarette manufacturers to put warning labels on every single pack of cigarettes that included the words, "Caution, cigarette smoking may be hazardous to your health." Unfortunately, cigarette sales actually rose by over 7.8 billion that year. So what this 1966 act did was it required labeling on cigarettes commerce in the United States. At the time, the United States was defined as including several states: the District of Columbia, the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, Guam, the Virgin Islands, American Samoa, Wake Island, Midway Island, Kingman, Reef, and Johnson Island. The United States was also required to label cigarettes from their source of production, places producing tobacco like the Virgin Islands, American Samoa, etc. They also established that it shall be unlawful for any person to manufacture, package, or import for sale or distribution within the United States any cigarettes in the package which fails to bear, in accordance with the requirements of this section, one of the following labels. The Food and Drug Administration constantly plays a large role in trying to get cigarettes out of the hands of our people. They push to create more awareness and minimize the consumption of carcinogenic tobacco. While the Food and Drug Agency is doing all this great work, the tobacco industry is working as hard as they can to limit the health notices on their products, keep taxes low, and keep the money in their pockets. As these big tobacco companies continue to reap the benefits of disease, medical groups are constantly pressuring Congress to discourage smoking based on medical findings linking tobacco as a cause of cancer. Today, any person who is curious about the dangers of smoking can find countless, and I mean countless, medical research on why you absolutely should not smoke or use tobacco. The effectiveness of cigarette labeling on curbing cigarette consumption unfortunately is not highly significant, based on the fact that even when labels were introduced, the number of smokers continued to grow. Today, we still have an outrageous amount. For the amount of medical research stating that cancer is directly connected to tobacco consumption, it is absolutely ridiculous how high the number of cigarettes is each year. Today, new methods are arising and hopefully can help eradicate the high number of smokers that we have here today.